Hey, we're here today with the Samsung Galaxy S3. It's a new phone from Samsung that is hitting U.S. carriers this month. We have a Sprint version and an AT&T version. The only difference you'll see is on the back plastic case they have carriers labeled. Everything else is identical. And we have two white versions. They also come in blue. AT&T will have a red one available later this year. Samsung sent along some other cases. This is what's called a case cover or something. So you would take this off here. The back comes off like this. This is the Sprint version, which doesn't have a SIM, and it has LTE without SIM. It does have a micro SD card, which goes up to 64 gigabytes, which is a little higher than previous models, which only went up to 32. This is what the back case looks like on. I don't know if that's going to appeal to very many people. One of the Samsung reps had this on when we met them, and he seemed to enjoy it. For me, I don't know. It's hard to get at the volume keys there. And what value does this add? I don't know. And it doesn't really. That's okay. Anyway, it comes off fairly easily. The back case isn't look quite as good as the white, in my opinion, at least on the back side. On the front side, you got these two holes here, which aren't quite as elegant as previous versions, but the screen is huge, 4.8 inches. It's Super AMOLED. Compare that to the Galaxy Nexus. It's just a bit bigger. I don't know if you can see these if I turn them on. The device is actually about the same size, which speaks to Samsung's bezel, which is a little bit smaller around the top and bottom and on the sides. Button-wise, very simple. You have a power button, a volume rocker. On the bottom, you have the micro USB input and a microphone. On the top, you have a noise-canceling microphone and a headset. That's something else that's different. The Galaxy Nexus has the headset on the bottom. I think I prefer the bottom, but I do prefer USB to be on the bottom as well. This also has a physical button, as opposed to the Galaxy Nexus, which has no physical buttons on the front. And it's only capacitive buttons. So there are two more capacitive buttons, which you can't really see. Back button and a menu button here. Those two you'll use pretty often, but you'll have to get used to it because you can barely see them when they're lit up against the white. Probably not a great design decision there. Phone's pretty big. This is an iPhone, so the iPhone's about the size of the screen. And if you look at the back, it's quite a bit bigger. Big difference there. And then another phone to compare this to is the HTC One S on T-Mobile, and it's about the same size and weight. I really like the feel of HTC's phones, and the displays are also a little bit nicer, which is kind of a first. I think Samsung has usually made the best screens that we've seen. But this particular one, the screen is much smaller, you'll see, and the resolution as well is lower. But again, the feel of this is much more solid. This is aluminum. This is plastic up here, but this aluminum shell is just the cold aluminum strength compared to plastic is something to consider. And HTC's One X on AT&T, while also plastic, still feels a little bit better than this, which is kind of slippery. And then you have the proximity sensors up here, which I'm not a huge fan of. Aesthetically, obviously, you need those if you want to make calls and not get hung up on. The front camera on this one is actually a 1.9 megapixel square camera, but the default setting is for VGA, for video conferencing, which is most of what these are used for. On the flip side, the back camera is a 8 megapixel, and it's actually a slight improvement over the Galaxy S2, but a significant improvement over the quality of the Galaxy Nexus, which this is only a 5 megapixel camera, which is good for quick shots, but not quite as good for high quality shots. And speaking of that, the camera, you can activate that way, kind of like Sense used to do, and you have a bunch of new options here. You have a bunch of shooting modes. The HDR is nice. You have smile shot detection, and what's called Beauty, which does some auto settings for you. Camera overall is fantastic. We'll include some photos in the review. No real complaints, other than in low light the quality isn't quite as good as you'd hope, but that's typical for a smartphone, and maybe the one area where point and shoots are still a little bit better than these high-end smartphones. Overall, apps go really quickly. You're looking at the default display here. There's some AT&T apps on this one, like My AT&T, AT&T Navigator. Samsung's got a Chat On, and Keys Air that you probably won't use that much. It is for syncing to Mac or PCs. One big thing in this one is Flipboard, which I haven't activated yet on this device. I have it on the other one here. It works great, just like the iOS version. It's very nice, a little bit more cleaner than Google Currents or Pulse, and I think it'll be probably very popular. Let's see. The S-Voice thing I'm not a huge fan of. It doesn't work quite as well as Siri or even Google's own voice actions, which I'm more accustomed to. So if I say navigate to San Jose Airport, so it opens up maps and you're navigating. And by the way, the GPS on this is much better than Samsung's of the past. Even the Galaxy Nexus, the GPS on this is 10 times better. That might be due to the GLONASS satellites it uses, the Russian satellite system, as well as the US satellite system. Anyway, you can see we're navigating. But if you go to Samsung's, navigate to San Jose Airport. And keep in mind, there's two voice action things on the home screen, which for many users is going to be a little bit confusing, especially when the reliability and feature set on each one is a little bit different. If it were me, I would have had one or the other as an option at the beginning, kind of like, yeah, network operation failed. Try again. Navigate to San Jose Airport. I'm on Wi-Fi, so it shouldn't be a big problem. This uses Vlingo's backend service, so if there's a network outage, it's theirs. But I think Samsung wanted to have an answer to Siri, and this is what they did. And I think users aren't going to be too much better off for it. What else can we talk about here? We have most apps work fine. Netflix works great. Facebook works fine. I have Google Wallet on here, but it's not supported by AT&T. The Sprint version actually works. That's just blocked. AT&T has a relationship with ISIS, and they're blocking Google. Installed Chrome beta. It's not on by default, but of course you're going to want to do that. Google Voice as well works great on here as well. Samsung brings over S-Memo from the Galaxy Note, which if you've used that at all, it's kind of nice to have. Samsung's Media Hub is on here as well, and Chat On service, which you may or may not use. I'm not a user of that, and that's about it. There is some nice photo sharing features, which I don't think many people are going to use that often. It also has a NFC sharing feature that I also don't think is going to get a lot of use, especially since it only works with Samsung NFC devices. But overall, this phone is fantastic. I just don't know if it's going to be on the level that the S2 was, because of both Apple's new iPhone that's due in October, as well as HTC's phones, which are far and away better than they were last year at this time. Yep, that's our review. Thanks for watching.